process. So it's kind of engine. And they decided we built,
We never knew.
finished. It took.
I mean,
Two oh nine.
Yeah.
I 15.
Nate.
So just, I mean, I'm gonna find the thing that says what time they're bringing it.
Yeah, man. That's the thing that.
And you go.
I guess French got strong. Got it all. We've got to do this. They put out.
manila envelope that Mr. Delandro is opening right now. It's got pre-punch holes, pre-hole punch that you can put into your binder and replace the old stuff. So we're just updating that information. Any questions or concerns, ask me and I will ask Mayor Stell.
Good morning. We're going to call this VPRA board meeting to order on August 26th, 2025. We're going to start with our safety briefing from Lamar Bates.
Madam Chair, Executive Director, members of the board, good morning.
Morning.
All right, let's begin our safety briefing. We are located at 919 East Main Street on the fourth floor. For the women's restroom, you will make a left go around the corner, it's on the left side. For the men's restroom, you'll make a right, go around the corner, it's on the right side. There's a stairwell, a fire alarm near both restrooms. There's a fire extinguisher near the women's restroom and also down the hall from the women's restroom. For an AED, we have security for that. The first aid kit is located on the table on the back wall, right? Mary Stella Douglas will call 911. Her backup is Steve Pitter. I am our basic of CPR. My backup is Joe Vines. Michael Glockman will need first responders. His backup is Michael Westerman. If you have to evacuate, ensure the person to your left is present at our assembly point at George Washington statue on North Pike Capitol Square. If you see something, say something. Report it to security or call 911. Call 911 is very important if you do that, all right? We have an active shooter. You either flee, hide, or fight. If those participating virtually, know your medical emergency and evacuation strategy. We have any questions? All right, let's have a safe day. Thank you.
Thanks, Lamar. Thank you.
And also, please watch for tripping hazards as well as you come here. Thank you.
Susan, okay, Susan, there you go. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thanks, Lamar.
All right, thank you.
We're going to move to agenda item number 3, and I would love to give a warm welcome to our 2 new board members. Cynthia Lawrence is the Director of Workforce Development for the Carillion Clinic in Roanoke. Cynthia, would you like to say a few words?
Certainly. I'm delighted to be here. I am new to the this board, but have been a longtime serving member on several transportation-related boards, including the local airport authority for 12 years. I was also was reminded I was on the Virginia Museum of Transportation Board for a while. That's been a while ago, but my most recent tenure has been on the state lottery board. I was on that board for 20 years. So I certainly appreciate the opportunity to serve in this capacity, and then representing the western part of the state. It's very important. So thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. And we also want to welcome Susan Spears, who is the President and CEO of the Fredericksburg Regional Chamber of Commerce. Susan.
Hi, thank you. I'm delighted to be here in the Fredericksburg region, which, you know, if you aren't on a train, but you're in a car on 95, that's the spot where all the traffic stops every time. So we at the Chamber have spent a lot of time around that issue. So I'm very excited to have the opportunity to dive further into having more knowledge and ability to make differences and positive change for passenger rail in the Commonwealth. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. We're so glad to have you both. And with that, I would ask Mary Estelle to take our roll call attendance.
Ms. Bushu? Mr. Crawford?
Present.
Mr. Dalton?
Here.
Mr. Delandro?
Here.
Ms. Dorsch? Here. Ms. Drake? Here. Mr. Flowers?
Here.
Mr. Jordan?
Here.
Ms. Lawrence?
Here.
Mr. Maestri?
Present.
Mr. Payne?
Here.
Ms. Reinhardt?
Here.
Ms. Spears?
Here.
Mr. Watkins?
Here.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary Estelle. So moving on to agenda item number 5, I would ask if we have any public comment this morning. No one signed up? Okay. Moving forward, can I get a motion to approve the June 26, 2025 VPRA meeting minutes?
So move. Second.
Thank you, Mr. Delandro, and seconded by Mr. Flowers. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The minutes are approved. Moving right along to agenda item number 7. With our new board members, we have some openings on our subcommittees. So I wanted to move forward. I believe there's a slide for this one. Oh, no slides? Oh, just the summary of what we're doing here. We would like to nominate Ms. Spears to join the Finance Committee and Ms. Lawrence to join the Personnel and Compensation Committee. So first, I will ask if there is any questions or discussion on this topic. If not, I would ask for a motion to approve these VPRA committee assignments.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Dorsch. Thank you, Senator Watkins. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Committee assignments are approved. And we are rolling this morning. Agenda item number 8. Mr. Executive Director, would you please give us your report?
There's a 7B vote policy.
Oh, I missed that. Sorry. Is that on the slide?
So this one we actually have a slide on.
That's what I thought. Perfect. So assuming that everyone has had a chance to review this policy that was sent to you in your book, I would ask for a motion to approve the annual adoption of the remote participation and virtual attendance policy.
So move.
Thank you, Mr. Delandro. Second, Ms. Reinhardt. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Our remote policy is approved. And now, Mr. Sadler, would you please give us your executive director's report?
I'd be happy to. Thank you, Madam Chair. And good morning, folks. Thank you. It's good to see everybody today. We have a lot of good news. I know that I have been peppering you with emails of 5-day notices of agreements that are moving forward. So just a good news meeting. There are a lot of positive things going on, and I look forward to sharing them with you today. Just some quick updates. One of the things that I've received a lot of questions about in the last 6 weeks or so, there was a merger proposed between Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern. We obviously have good agreements with Norfolk Southern, not only for running over their network, but also our purchase of Manassas line, our extension of the route from Roanoke to the New River Valley, the work that they're doing to construct the layover facility and the station in Christiansburg. I'm happy to say that everything that we have negotiated with Norfolk Southern stays as it exists in our agreements. There's no risk to our agreements at all. In fact, Union Pacific has a strong history of being friendly to passenger rail. Their current CEO, Jim Venna, I worked with when I was the chief operating officer at Amtrak. He was at CN back then, but just always very supportive and understanding that freight network has to work well with passenger network. So I see this as either a net neutral or positive thing. So any concerns you may have, I'm happy to talk about, but we're in a good position here. So that's good news.
Great.
Speaking of things that cause concern, but really don't need to, we've had administration change, as you know, and the first couple months of the new administration in Washington, D.C., there were some concerns that things should be held up and that we may have some of our funding or projects at risk. Thrilled to say that Mike and I, Michael Westerman, a whole bunch of us have met with FRA and DOT staff on multiple occasions. They are fully supportive of our projects. They have been incredibly respectful of our list of here are the things we need from you. We've got grants from them already. If we don't get our approval of our PMP by this date, it's going to cause us problems. They hear that, they respect it, and they get us what we need on time, whether it's NEPA reevaluations or grant agreements. They have really been fantastic. So we continue to work well with them. If that's something that concerns anybody, it shouldn't, because knock on wood, it's gone very well.
Can I chime in there?
Yeah, sure, of course.
I just wanted to add to that, as a sister agency at DRPT, wearing my other hat, we also have had really great continued operations with FRA and FTA, for what it's worth. My chief of rail, Emily Stock, is here, and we also have had meetings on our grants and getting things done. And even though there has been some staff turnover, we have not been held up in any of our work or in any of our funding partnerships. So it's good news all around. So far, so good.
And we don't expect that to change.
Can I ask one question on that? I think DOT, they're rebidding though their Fed State Partnership pot, right? So we submitted for fiscal year 2024 and they're going to rebid that. Are we going to resubmit?
We had one grant application in that was for the Staunton Station, and we do intend to resubmit that. Yeah, they came back and they told us your application, you'll have to reapply. It'll be combined 24 and 25, and we intend to do that.
Great question.
Mike, you're looking at me like I was wrong. So
You're exactly right.
okay, perfect. Thank you. I could show I was right. And then the third bullet, as we met in June, we came to you all with a budget amendment. Part of that budget amendment was changing the phasing and the location of a number of sidings on the RF&P, which is the railroad between Washington, DC and Richmond. You all approved those siding, phasing, and location movements. We have worked with CSX and we have signed and gotten approved the amended comprehensive rail agreement and JOMA, which again is good news, continued progress. In fact, yesterday I sent an email. We finalized the agreements for design work on those 3 sidings. They're all over $5 million. So notified you yesterday, assuming no one has any concerns between now and next Monday, we'll sign those Monday and work will continue. So more good news. There will be some bad news later. FY25 annual incentive plan goals. So these are the goals that we track really every day, but we report them every month in our executive director's report. And then we talk about them every time we meet, the 4 or 5 times a year that we meet. I'm happy to say that we have met all of our FY25 goals with a big asterisk. And the asterisk is in the first goal, it was increase ridership by 3% while achieving a cost recovery goal of 70%. Our ridership increase was 4.8%, which was fantastic. Ridership continues to grow, and we continue to show we put the trains out there. People are going to ride them. Cost recovery goal was 70%. We achieved 76%. And here's where the asterisk is. We have not closed our books yet because we work with VRS, the Virginia Retirement System. We need to wait for them to give us our final accruals. For better or for worse, those accrued figures pretty much cascade through all of our numbers, most if not all of our numbers. So any financial information you'll see here doesn't include that accrual. In fact, it's through May and not through June. This time last year, on the 26th of August last year, we had all of that information. Right now, we have only 40% of it, Mr. Pitter. We don't have all of it. And so we expect over the next couple of days, we'll roll that through the numbers. Jinxing it, we'd be shocked if it brought our cost recovery from 76 below 70. I mean, we'd be shocked if it brought it down to 75.5, but we don't know till we know. So that's the one goal that's still outstanding. That's why it showed it's still outstanding. That's why it shows on track. The other goals, Long Bridge, our other major projects, key organizational goals, we met or exceeded all of those. So it really just shows it was a great year for VPRA. Spoiler alert, this afternoon, we will be going over in detail our FY26 goals and talking about what our organization will measure ourselves against next year. So we'll talk about that later today. Any questions on 25 goals? Okay, passenger service updates. Washington Union Station, this is a long time coming. Track 22, those of you that have gone north through Union Station on the far left of those lower level tracks is track 22. Track 22 for a very long time has been a storage track. In DC, when you're going north, you're being pulled by a diesel engine until you get to Washington, DC. Washington, DC North, the trains are electric, they're run under catenary. So they change the engine there from diesel to electric, or when you're going south, they change it from electric to diesel. Track 22 was used as a storage track where you could stage those locomotives and switch them, and they would go, knock on wood, on a good day relatively smoothly. They wanted to, and rightfully so, expand track 22 to put a platform there so you could actually use it to board and alight trains there. That project has been going on for a few years. Thankfully, it is completed. So for a while, that could not even be used as a storage track. Now you can use it to board, and you can also use it as storage. Big improvement in the capacity there, and that finally was completed. So that's good news. Kudos to Amtrak, and should help our service become even more reliable. Here's the ridership update. It's for the first month of the fiscal year, July. As you can see, we're over 10% year over year, which is great news. We're only showing the 1 month, but we started off the year really positively, which is great. If you look at last year, the ridership route by route, every single one was up. Newport News leading the way with 15% over, Richmond 10% over. Just continued good news on the ridership side. It was our second, July was our second highest ridership month in history. So we continue to grow in good news, and another shout out to Amtrak for their partnership in finding that sweet spot between ridership and revenue. Here is the comparison of other state-supported trains. This is number of riders per train, and we compare it to North Carolina, to New York, and to Pennsylvania. We continue to have more riders per train. A lot of that is due to what Ms. Spears pointed out, the traffic north of Fredericksburg is not friendly to us. But the other part is that we just offer good service at the right times to get people where they want to go. So this continues to be a positive trend for us.
That might be my favorite chart.
Sit and look at this for a minute. Cost recovery, we talked about this before. You see, back in 17, we were above 70. We feel strongly that we need to make this as high as possible, because when you look at public transportation really across the world, if you're on buses, if you're on transit and you're on the metro, you're on subway, anywhere, I'm not just talking about this area. If you're 20, 30% for public transportation, you really feel good about yourself. The fact that we're above 70 is great news. The fact that we could potentially get even higher than 80. For a while, the Lynchburg train, when we first started the Lynchburg train, this is a story that we tell often. Sorry about that for those of you that have been here a while. But we thought that there would be 30,000 riders on that Lynchburg train. And there was a huge negotiation between Virginia and Amtrak saying, okay, you're going to have 30,000 riders. It's going to cost us $100 to run this train. You'll probably get $60 worth of revenue. Who pays that extra 40? And that was a big fight about who pays that extra 40. And we ended up, none of these numbers are right. We ended up getting 100,000 riders. That number's right. And it cost $100 to run. We pulled in about $130. And we were fighting over who got to keep that extra money. And that was just a good news story. Cost recovery over 100%. Obviously, we're not over 100% now as we add more service. But come 2030, when Longbridge is done and we go from the current 8 frequencies to 13, that's a lot of revenue that is above and beyond the cost. So we're comfortable that we'll be staying above 70, and being closer to 100 is better. But this continues to be a good news story. When we talk to other states, they're thrilled that we're hitting over 70%.
PJ, correct me if I'm wrong. This is nation leading information, right? The VPRA is probably leads the nation in terms of cost.
I believe that's correct for the states. Now, in the Northeast corridor, there are times, there are months when they actually do well. And then the auto train too is different, because on the auto train, they charge for the car. And so that actually quite frequently gets close to 100%. But yes. Okay, Jeremy will jump up, Chris. Yeah, that's correct. Any questions about the passenger service update? All right, capital project updates. We're going to go through the capital projects, and we'll talk more about a lot of these later. Those of you that drive into DC, or those of you that take the train into DC, I hope you're taking a moment to look at the work that's going on, both on the North Package and the South Package. The construction out there is amazing. The size of machines is overwhelming. But here's the Long Bridge. We continue to move forward. We executed that phase 2 contract last month, and they hit the ground running. They're doing a lot of work there. You can see as you go through, and we can see this, as you go north, just before LaFont Plaza, if you go north on the left-hand side, if you're going south on the right-hand side, they've torn out the track there and they're strengthening the crash wall. So the work there has absolutely begun, and it's moving forward quickly. Here you can see the overhead shot. This is the Portals building. This is the track as you go right into LaFont. This is going to be one of the most challenging portions of the project for a couple of reasons. Number one, for more than a couple of reasons. Number one, you're going over roads that have traffic 24 hours a day. And so we've got to work the maintenance traffic plans, the MLP plans. We also have to deal with the DC noise restrictions. You can't make any noise before 7 a.m. or after 7 p.m. So that's a real tight area of the railroad. Additionally, that's the area where we have 2 existing tracks, and we're building 2 new tracks right next to them. I mean, literally right next to them. So you can't do work on those 2 tracks without fouling the 2 existing tracks. So that's where it is really the most complex. If you go to the river, the 2 tracks on the Long Bridge going over the river, they're separate. So there's work that can be done without fouling those tracks, because it's a whole separate structure that's being built. But making good progress. I sent out an email earlier this month, or perhaps late last month, about the Heritage Tree. We had thought that we would have to move the heritage tree, but instead we're going to pay the district to plant dozens of more trees. So that was a win-win for everybody, continuing to move forward really strongly on this project. South package, similarly, we recently signed, we signed this contract back in January, and they have brought that to 60% design, or almost to 60% design. Big work is going on the river. As you go over the river going north, if you look to the right, you'll see barges, and you can see they're doing some of the research work, the geotechnical work that needs to be done that helps them determine how deep they've got to drill. And I think we've got a film actually. Yeah, here we go. So I will say this, I was previewing this film, they sent me this film, and I said, yes, we absolutely need to show it during the board meeting. And I was watching it and I was taking notes. I'm like, all right, I need to learn what all this stuff is, because they're going to ask me, what's this? What's this? And I'm watching. And then I finally watched it with my sound on, and I don't have to learn anything. So that's a summary of the work that's ongoing. I do want to point out, if you go to that website, I emailed this out to you earlier this month. There's just, our communications team is doing a great job. I mean, one of the challenges in major construction projects is you don't want to surprise the general public, and you don't want folks to not be ready for something that's going to impact them. We've had public meetings, and I sent you the link. We've got newsletters, we've got public meetings, we've got videos that are shown before film festivals in the district that say, hey, you live near Main Avenue and this is what's going to happen. Here are the benefits. I mean, there's going to be some pain that we're going to be realizing between now and 2030 when this opens. But Jerrica and her team are doing a fantastic job of keeping the public notified. No surprises. You all have heard me say it many times. So we're going to keep going. But I encourage you to when people ask you about the project, go to the website, because there's just a wealth of information there. Any questions on Long Bridge before we go to fourth track?
I will just add in one note and let the board know that DJ also presented to a recent Northern Virginia Transportation Committee meeting on all of this. And they had questions, and that was great. And we are continually sharing his executive director's report with that group. So it's just another way for everyone to stay informed.
All right, fourth track, this just goes further south. Once you are heading south and you go and complete the south package, which is right at the Long Bridge Aquatic Center, you get into an area of Alexandria fourth track. CSX put the bids out on this. They are due to come back to CSX 2 days from now. I guess I'll just go to the next slide. Oh, I won't. When we get those bids, we will likely have to make a budget adjustment, because the current dollar amounts are based on what we had 3 or 4 years ago. They were just at 30% design. We talked to CSX and we're comfortable that we can fund what's coming in, but we don't know until we know. So those bids will come in on the 28th. It'll take a little bit of time to review them and to make sure we're comfortable with the bids. So CSX does a lot of the flagging work, and they do a lot of the coordination. They're getting a contractor to come in and do the actual construction. We'll have bids later this week. And then when we come back to the October board meeting, we'll give an update, and we'll likely be asking for a budget amendment. So just to prepare you for that. Going then, the next project south is the Franconia Springfield bypass. This work is ongoing. We've got the 100% designs that came in July. You can see work going there. They did a lot of tree clearing there. This is one of the ones that we received a grant from the Federal Railroad Administration. It's a $100 million CRISI grant. CRISI is the Consolidated Rail Improvement and Safety Investment. Consolidated Rail Infrastructure and Safety Improvement. I'm glad that we wrote it down. That's right. That's a $100 million grant. We have been told that we will get that grant agreement back to us and sign by the end of September, likely in the next couple of weeks. Because we don't have another board meeting between now and October 7th, we are asking that you all approve a resolution that would give me the authority to execute that grant agreement. This is one, any agreement over $50 million, whether we're paying $50 million for construction begun done, or whether we're receiving more than $50 million, I need to get authority from you all to approve it. We're asking for you all just to give me the authority to approve and execute that grant agreement so we can get the money in and keep the project going.
So any questions or further discussion on that item? Then I would ask for a motion to approve authorization to execute the $100 million Chrissy grant agreement.
So moved. Second.
And thank you, Mr. Flowers. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion is approved.
Usually the accepting money ones are pretty easy. But look, work keeps on going on that. I feel great about the partnership we have with the folks there. Next comes Franconia to Lorton third track. This is on schedule. They've selected a contractor from the early works construction. We're watching closely the tree moratorium times that we've got to deal with because we can only cut trees during a certain time. But this one continues to go forward as planned. New River Valley update. This is being done completely by Norfolk Southern. As I think folks know, they are constructing the new platform, lighting, and parking at the Christiansburg station. And then they're also constructing the Radford Layer facility, which is about 9 miles further west. This continues to be on schedule and on budget. They are in constant communication. We have folks that go down there a lot. Dr. Smoot, I think many of you know, he visits there more often than I see my kids. I mean, it's amazing, but keeping it on track. Here's just some pictures that you can read the captions yourself. I don't need to read them to you, but it's a good news story how quickly this is going. As folks who were at the groundbreaking ceremony back in April or May know, that community just is so excited about this rail coming, and we're going to get it no later than 2027. So here's some pictures from the Cambria Station site, and then I've also got pictures from the Radford Layover site. Work is continuing quickly. Any questions on those projects? All right, we've talked here ad nauseum about the right-of-way challenges. Thankfully, not only have we seen the light at the end of the tunnel, but we are out of that tunnel and we continue to make great progress. Here's just a summary of where we are on those Long Bridge North and South. None of those, I'll jinx this, sorry about this, Mr. Westman, none of those plats, appraisals, or negotiations that are in progress are slowing up the project at this time, and we don't expect them to. Amtrak is actually handing those. That's in the district, and we don't have the same powers in the district, obviously, as we have Virginia. Amtrak is working those for us, and they have been, again, really good partners on that. So that's moving forward. Fourth track and bypass are complete. That's great news, and we're almost done with the negotiations. So this is a significant challenge for us that we have negotiated ourselves through, and now we're progressing. Sidings update. Here's an update on the sidings project. Things are just moving forward. We'll talk in a second about siding A, but the sidings, as you saw, were moved around a little bit and rephased, and then we're moving forward on them. Siding A is the big one that's coming next, $157 million. You can see the location there. We are just about to sign an agreement with CSX to do this work. Here's the detail. It's about $117 million. Here's the work that they're doing. They're doing all the construction, all the utility coordination, except for Stafford County. Now, if you remember a few months ago, you all approved Stafford County. We're going to move the utilities for Stafford County, and then they're going to pay us back in a couple of years when they can get the money. So we're dealing with that. Other than that, CSX is dealing with it. We're doing all the environmental work, which is moving forward quickly. Might need to be done, but it's in good shape there. But we are looking for you all, because this is over $50 million, to approve or to give me the authority to enter into agreement with CSX to enter construction on this agreement.
Any questions or further discussion about this item? Hearing none, I would ask for a motion to approve authorization of siding A project addendum with CSXT.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Dollinger.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Payne. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes.
Okay, that is the end of the capital projects update. Let me just go through the capital and operating grants, if I may.
Yes, please.
Ms. Dorsch, thank you. We put in for a Staunton State of Good Repair and ADA Improvement Grant of $11.5 million for the FRA Federal State Partnership. As you see on the chart, and as we talked about earlier, they're going to re-advertise that and combine it with 24 and 25. The good news is there'll be a lot of money available, and our grant request or our application still has a very strong case. As many of you know, I feel very strongly that every day that goes by that our stations in Virginia are not ADA compliant, that is a bad day. And yes, they are ADA accessible. So every single station, if you come there in a wheelchair or if you come in a scooter, you can get on the train, but that doesn't make it compliant. And until we're compliant, we're not doing our job. So this will help us get that into compliance. When they re-advertise it, we will put in for it quickly. We're also looking at other opportunities. We'll just have to wait till the NOFO, the notice of funding opportunity, comes out so we can see what kind of things they're looking for. Thankfully, all of our current projects that we talk about here are fully funded. It's new things that we add on that we'd be looking for funding. And then late last month, Henrico put in an application on our behalf for $15 million to help with the Richmond Lair facility that we talked about. Part of that money comes from Amtrak. Hopefully we'll get some from CBTA as well, and then we'll be providing the rest. We'll find out the disposition of that when they go through their process. And then finally, the FY26 budget, both the House and the Senate have put in a congressionally directed spending, which is what all us old people used to call earmarks, in $2 million. We'll wait and see if that's passed. That would just be supplemental funding for fourth track. Here are the outstanding grants. These are both grants that are going to Norfolk Southern. When we signed the Norfolk Southern deal years ago, we had what was called a Western Rail Initiative that was extra money that they could use to improve passenger rail west of Manassas. We had dedicated funding going to the Nokesville to Calverton double track, and then we had $36.5 million going to the Roanoke Yard improvements. They're going to spend more than $36.5 million, but they always thought they would. The balance of that fund will come from the Western Rail Initiative. And there's plenty of money in the Western Rail Initiative for that. So these things are continuing to move along. They will be done before 2026, before the new service goes from Roanoke to New River Valley. And that completes the capital project and grant update. Any questions for me? Okay. I'm going to ruin Mr. Pitter's birthday and ask him to provide us an update on revenue and investment. Mr. Pitter? I didn't say that. Did I say that?
Happy birthday, Mr. Pitter.
Now he's the rest of my week.
No, it's bad on your 60th birthday. Or that all you can really think about is hopefully VRS will get us the pension data that is.
Yeah, but you're concerned about the pension data because you're retiring, not necessarily. But okay.
Before I jump in on the retirement thing, I do want to say I think we're leaving, I think, a very good financial position. I think you've seen prior audits, you'll see this audit go. But also the financial team, they're all here. They're a really strong team. So don't think anybody needs to worry about finance here at VPRA. But I also want to say the agency as a whole come a long way from ground zero, really. We had 3 people and nothing. Empty bookcase, as DJ points out. But capital projects, you just heard from Mr. Stadler, those are moving along very well now. And actual construction going on. Also, the backbone of our agency as a whole, we've got project management information system installed. We're working on asset management because that's important because we're owning a lot of quarter assets now. Also, want to say the ridership, DJ talked about this for a moment. It's very important, the record ridership, the cost recovery, those are all very important things. And early on, DJ and I met and we established that cost recovery as a key metric. And I'm glad to hear that it will stay that way. And I'm glad to hear that 70% y'all we're looking at is about 35% of capacity of the trains fill on average. There are days it's completely full, which is great, but on average it's 35%. And I really look at it, if we could just all get 1 or 2 more people to ride the train, we could go from that 35 to 45. And the numbers DJ was talking about, that 100%, which maybe that's a little lofty of a goal. It might be achievable. other thing I want to add about that was, it's not achieving cost recovery with a good balance of ridership. You see the records and the revenue. And that's important to remember as you go through it. There's a balance there. You know, I think the fare from Richmond to Washington, I think is $14. So we're not achieving that high recovery, charging a high rate. So last thing I'll say on that, I think the last few years, Jeremy and his team on that ridership effort, and working with Amtrak also in particular, we've really formed a great partnership. I mean, compared to, I've been doing this a long time, where we were 10 years ago with Amtrak, it is night and day different. There's an actual partnership. We're working towards the same goals. And finally, just want to thank the board, DJ, team members, everybody that works at VPRA, and then all our different partners. So once again, thanks. Now we'll talk about some investments. So this is just showing our dedicated Commonwealth Rail Fund. And last year, the number was 163 million was the estimate. This year, you see it's grown to 172. So about a 5.5% increase. Those are the funds that are dedicated to VPRA that come out of the Transportation Trust Fund. So all the different sources that the state collects for transportation, we get a small percentage, and that's what this is. And nice to see a 5.5% increase this year. Next slide. Here you'll see in the top chart, you'll see a balance of our funding that we have available today. So we've done a really good job collecting funding in advance and being prepared to undertake all these capital projects. But you can see back last August, we had a lot bigger balance of funding that declined. I maybe purchased the Manassas line. So $315 million went out the door in September. And then you see throughout the year, a steady increase to where we're at about almost $500 million today. The bottom chart, you see a similar change in the amount of money that we're earning off those investments each month, and then a slight increase as we proceed throughout the year. Next slide, Jonathan. Going through the three policy initiatives, preservation of principle being the number one effort that we're looking to do. You see, we actually have a market value increase right now. And that's because about a year ago, we locked down a portion of our funds in longer term maturities because thought rates would be coming down. We actually thought rates would be coming down a lot more than they have. They have come down. And as a result, we're locked in at a little bit higher rates. And that in turn shows this, I want to emphasize, we're gaining. But if we had to liquidate today, we would actually more money than what we paid. Next slide. This slide's about liquidity. Liquidity is important because we've got to fund these projects as they go. You see in less than 1 year, you see the majority, $289 million of that 500 million, and then another 74 million. And so we mapped this to those project spends and also the other revenue sources that will be coming in. So that's not an issue. The other thing is the policy does require certain limitations as far as maturity. So like commercial paper, 9 months. See that top left chart showing you that we're within compliance on the investment policy. Next slide. Finally, this is the return showing it to a benchmark that we use the Fed funds rate. Fed funds rate is about 4.3%. You see we're right at that rate of the LGIP, which is the local government investment pool that the state's Department of Treasury manages. And then also we have part of our funds managed by an outside investment manager. With that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Pitter?
Thank you.
Okay, just straight up.
I'm sorry, GG. Steve, are those are these returns net of any fees for the management? Okay.
Administrative updates, as we've gotten to 65 FTEs, we've really tailed off. You don't see the hiring that you've seen over the last meetings. We didn't have any new employees in August. We've got 8 current postings and no offers accepted. So we really have kind of plateaued in the 65 range. As we've talked about a number of times, when we were first created, we were expected to be between 80 and 100. We don't think we'll be over 80 anytime soon. In fact, our future org chart has us more in the low 70s, but we have the folks we need right now to get the job done. And we'll continue to update you on this every month. Here's our administrative budget. It's as of May, because the day after tomorrow, when we get the VRS numbers, all of these are going to change, but we're in good shape on our administrative budget. We've either come in below or we've done a good job of managing the budget. Happy to answer any questions on this. Again, these will change in a couple of days and we'll send them out as June final. Budget adjustments, as you know, we are required to report to the board any budget adjustments every month. In the month of August, there are no budget adjustments, no needed changes, so that's good news. And then contracting updates, any contract above $250,000 or less than $5 million, we report to the board in this monthly report. We had one contract that fell into that. That was our annual contract with Sidal. They do our marketing with Amtrak and also some of our local marketing as well. $890,000. It's the same amount as last year, actually flat to last year. All right, supplier diversity. Last year, and just a reminder, these are the different categories of supplier diversity that we've got in Commonwealth, Virginia, established in 2006. As you see, we've talked about these different different categories. We at VPRA have from day one been really consistent in our support of local businesses, of diverse businesses, and that support is not going to change. Here is the definition of the federal DBE, the disadvantaged business that we follow. We follow both of them. We designate folks where they land there. We don't have a requirement. We don't put a requirement in our bids. We don't put a requirement in our contracts. You must do this. But as an agency, we feel strongly that getting local money, getting small business money, getting diverse businesses as part of our portfolio makes a lot of sense. Last year, we sat in front of this board and we set a goal of 11.5%. There was a lot of conversation about that. And it's our discretionary spending. Let me point out, there's a lot of spending that we don't have any choices. So for example, when we pay money to Amtrak, we've got to pay Amtrak. Norfolk Southern, we've got to pay Norfolk Southern. We can't put that out there for bid and get a small business. So that is our non-discretionary funding. We focus on what percentage of our discretionary spend is going to diverse suppliers. We were hopeful, we had planned to, we had strived to get 11.5%. As you can see here, we only hit 7.2%. It's a bit of a disappointment. However, if you look at everything we did, we made some very aggressive assumptions and they didn't come through. For example, we had big construction contracts where construction companies had said, hey, 15% of my spending is going to be to diverse vendors. What we didn't have at that time, and we know now, is that 15% is backloaded because on the front end, the design work, the early works, utilities, they don't really have choices where they go for utilities. And so a lot of that money comes in the back end. Additionally, we had on the South package, which is good news, we had early mobilization. They got done earlier or they started earlier. So we were able to pay for their insurance and we were able to pay for their mobilization early. None of that goes to diverse businesses. So that added a lot to our denominator with adding nothing to our numerator. So we were well below the 11.5%. That said, if you look at this chart, if you see 23 to 24 to 25, our 23 to 24 was relatively flat, but 24 to this year to 25, we saw net dollars out the door to SWAM, small businesses, diverse businesses, was up 51%, which is a huge, huge accomplishment. So yes, well below the 11.5. We would rather have been at 11.5, but we're thrilled with the fact that our spending went up by 51%. We have to in our bylaws, we have committed to coming to the board and putting a goal in place every year. Our budget itself would say that we'd be in the 5% range this year, but we want to continue to be aggressive. And we think there are things that we can do to get even more aggressive. So we are going to ask you to approve a goal of 7.5%, which would bring that spending up to, as you see there, 23.5. We could really stretch it. I mean, if everything fell the right way and we pushed everything, we could get as high as 36, but that is our number on our best day. And it would just take one thing falling out of place to not hit that. So we think that the projected goal of 23.5 million, 7.5% is reasonable. It's aggressive, but it's something that we can still hit. This is just something that we continue to, and John Kosteniuk, our director of procurement, there's not been a day this decade where the word swam didn't come out of his mouth, which is good. I mean, he is committed to and focused on making sure that we have a diverse set of suppliers. Our proposal would be to you all to set a goal of, to approve our goal of 7.5% that we would continue to work towards this year. Mr. Kosteniuk, anything you want to add?
No, just are excited to, as we always work to maximize our SWAM usage. We are excited, just what the future is going to bring. Like DJ said, just this year, the lion's share of our early work construction is just not realistic to SWAM businesses. It's probably 1.5%, and that's going to be other tiers. They're not going to be the subcontractors or the primes. But as the construction advances, the packages are paced by design. Us, all our primes, all our contractors, we are excited where the future will go and the opportunities are out there. This year, we're going to continue to educate the market on what we're doing, what we need. And hopefully we can get them past any roadblocks, whether they're real or perceived, and we can just work to maximize our SWAM usage of the LMC project.
Just a small shout out to Mr. Kosteniuk. Vendors will call him and say, hey, I'm a small business and I really want to do business with your company. And he'll learn what they do. And he'll say, you know what, there's nothing that we do that aligns with what you do, but let me walk you through how you register and how you can make yourself more available. I mean, he's really passionate about getting folks in the system. So.
Thank you.
I just one question. Is there local hire provision? I know like on the transit side of things, right? It was forbidden to use federal dollars in any way that would favor local. What I like about SWAM, it seems like it's a way to make sure investment in the Commonwealth goes to business in the Commonwealth. But is that any element of it? Are we forbidden to do that if we use federal grants on the rail side?
We don't do that. I don't know that are we forbidden to do it? I know we couldn't in DC require DC employees because we're Virginia, but go ahead, Michael.
You're right. Yeah, local preferences are prohibited under the federal rules when we have federal financial assistance for our projects. Most of our projects we do across the board, we do not have any local preferences in our contracts or procurements, including in DC.
Just for the benefit of the rest of the board, I had this question, and you said this, DJ, in the beginning of your presentation on this, but these are not contractual requirements in our documents. These are our goals. That was clarified for me, and I wanted to make sure that was clear for everybody.
And look, I don't want what the team does. They reach out. We have, Meet the Prime. So Longbridge North is huge contract. Longbridge South, huge contract. We get those vendors out there and have Meet the Prime meetings as recently as a couple of weeks ago, Jerica. Yes, a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, where we have small businesses come in and say, look, here's what I can do. Longbridge North, how can I help you? So we are really engaged in that whole part of the industry. It's an important thing for us.
With that, are there any other questions or discussion on this topic? Then I would ask for a motion to approve our DBE and SWAM goals for fiscal year 2026.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Payne.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Flowers. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The goals are approved.
And that completes the executive director's report. I'm happy to answer any question.
Thank you, DJ. We will move to agenda item number 9 with an update to our board management reserve. So I would invite Selma Nuhanovic to the podium.
Good morning. My name is Selma Nuhanovic, and I am the FP&A Senior Manager. And I'm going to walk you through the board management reserve. Since there are a few new board members with us today, I would like to provide a few key points on the purpose of the management reserve. The management reserve is calculated as the net difference between the planned sources, which are the revenues, and the uses, which are the expenses in the financial plan through completion of our capital projects, which is fiscal year 31. It provides a buffer against increases in the expenses or decreases in the revenues. And it is important to note that the reserve is not set aside in a separate bank account. Rather, it is an accounting exercise that we do on a quarterly basis. As I just mentioned, the management reserve is updated on a quarterly basis based on reasonably known changes to the sources or the uses. And it is presented to the board for approval at the next board meeting. Please note that the board approves the use of the management reserve. It's important to note that VPRA has over 42 distinct revenue sources, and there's a handful of them that are variable, which could cause an impact to the management reserve. And if you take a look at the top section of the PowerPoint, these are some of the changes to those variable revenue sources that happened in fiscal year 25. The first one is investment income. We had an increase of $11.7 million in investment income from when compared to the budgeted amount. The Commonwealth Rail Fund increased by $2.5 million, and the operating revenues also increased by $4.8 million. These were offset by a decrease of $0.4 million in the access fees. So this nets to an increase in our sources of $8.6 million. There were no changes in the uses since the last board meeting of July 26th or June 26th. So our total increase to the management reserve of $18.6 million puts our management reserve at $71 million. If you look at the right, it just kind of shows the progress of the management reserve. Currently, as I just mentioned, we stand to get the management reserve approved at $71 million, which will help offset the increases of the costs in our program. As you can tell in the graph to the left, there's 26% of our program that still requires construction pricing. So part of this management reserve will be used to cover any changes in the construction pricing. So I'm going to stop for a few minutes to see if anybody has any questions, or if DJ or Steve would like to chime in on anything that I missed, feel free to do so.
I'm going to just ask one, and I think you're doing a fabulous job, and I think you probably miss Shannon more than anyone else in this room, but thank you for doing this. What is 5%? What's the number right now that would be 5%, which I know is, we thought it would be a good target for management reserve.
So the 5% would be the $270 million. That's people, and it's 5% of the operating and capital project expenditures through the life of the.
Okay, so if I could see that, it's on the slide. Okay, thank you.
Yes, yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, it's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Selma.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, we need to approve that. Any other questions or discussion? Go ahead, Steve.
Get it approved.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do. Just making sure nobody else had any other questions before we move forward. Okay, I would ask for a motion to approve the management reserve balance as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Pat. Sorry, I wasn't sure.
I don't know.
Thank you, Ms. Drake. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Management reserve balance is approved. And with that, we'll move to agenda item number 10. And I believe for the Amtrak agreement overview, we may not be hearing from Ashwini. We may be hearing from Jeremy Latimer. Thank you, Mr. Latimer.
Thank you. Yes, Sweeney wasn't able to make it today. Hopefully get to be here soon. She's the manager of our 209 contract with Amtrak. And so today what I want to kind of go through is you're going to hear words like FRIA, 209, Safer C, all those sorts of things. Some of the board members have seen this, but it's good for a refresher for everybody. So when we say PREA 209, that's what we call the agreement that Virginia has with Amtrak for the state-supported service. They also have the long-distance service that runs through Virginia. And so under Section 209 of the Passenger Rail Investment and Improvement Act of 2008, it says that any routes less than 750 miles must be operated or paid for by the states. So that was a change. And as of 2013, a number of routes that would have ceased to exist were actually taken over by states in order to keep them running. And so that affected Virginia. And so when you look at this map and how Amtrak operates all up and down the Northeast corridor, what we do is pull Northeast regional trains that operate on Amtrak's Northeast corridor into Virginia. So the light blue lines that you see there are the routes over which we have Virginia state supported service. And you can also see the VRE service in Northern Virginia there, just for some context as well, because the Northern Virginia area is the most congested because VRE and Amtrak and CSX and Norfolk Southern all coming in to that area together. So just another view of our service, get through this. So everything in navy blue is what we pay for under our PREA 209 agreement. That is the Amtrak Virginia service, PREA 209 service under that agreement. So it's 8 daily round trips, and under the Transforming Rail in Virginia program, that will grow to 13 daily round trips once we finish our capital improvement program. We also have, you see the Carolinian blue, the North Carolina train that comes through Virginia. And then we also have the 6 daily round trips on the Amtrak long distance service, and that goes far and wide, but it all comes through Virginia. So for example, the Cardinal service goes off to Chicago. You can see through Danville, the Crescent, that goes on its way to New Orleans. And then we have other services that continue south in South Carolina and Florida. So a lot of options for folks. And I think what's important when you look at this, we look at it color coded, we look at what our service is. We do a lot of work to say, let's optimize the ridership and revenue. But when people book their ticket, they're booking the train that works for them, right? So they don't necessarily see this color-coded map when they're booking their tickets, and we want to be cognizant of that as we're looking at Amtrak on our partnerships. So when you're part of the PREA 209 club, so other states signed into the 209 agreements as well, there's a methodology that lays out how we share costs, and so the states will, for example, pay a proportional share at Staples Mill Station because some of that service is long distance, some of it's state supported. And then there's also the Carolinians. We don't pay 100% of the staff cost there. So that all falls under 209, the PREA methodology. 20 state agencies are part of that club. Congress funded us as a group to work together. So when Amtrak made this shift, their costs, their systems were not set up to share those costs with the states. So there's been a lot of work since 2013 in order to understand where the costs are going, cost buckets, and make sure that we're right on these things, that there's transparency, that we understand the rates that we're paying, that they're accurate, they're getting updated. So a lot of work happens in that group that we call Safer C. And so that is really our foundation. That 209 agreement and that group is our foundation of how we work through a lot of the larger issues together with other states. So this is just a little bit about Safer C's role. They develop and refine that policy, keep it up to date, we vote, keep it current. And then Virginia, under that agreement, we can manage our revenues. We have a lot of say over our customer experience and our staffing levels. We get to determine our schedules, and an added layer for Virginia under our TRV, our Transforming Rail in Virginia agreement. All of our services have to continue into the Northeast corridor unless Virginia opts otherwise. So we have that option as well. And then, of course, we have our equipment levels and our service levels that are under our purview because of this agreement. And then we have Amtrak quarterly meetings, which are highly orchestrated by Ashwini, and they are always about our priorities and our partnerships. DJ?
Just one, you said it, but I just want to put a finer point on it. Under agreement, all of our services have to connect to the Northeast corridor on a 1-seat ride. So you get on a train in Roanoke, Newport News, Norfolk, Richmond, you can go all the way to New York without having to change trains in Washington, D.C. if you don't want to. And that's part of the agreement that will not change.
And it's very important because under the PREA methodology, we get 100% of the revenue between Washington, D.C. and any of the points in Virginia. But we get that revenue minus a per passenger mile charge on the Northeast corridor. So we still get funding from the Northeast corridor, but we have to pay a cost to be on Amtrak's revenue. And so the 209 agreement gives us a lot of other opportunities too. And so what I wanted to just mention, and you'll see more about this, the passenger information display systems, or PIDs for short, are what you see when you go to a station, and it talks about your train and when it's arrival and departure time and any updates, that screen. And so we recently, about a year ago, I guess, those who are familiar with Ashland Station or Fredericksburg Station would know that in Fredericksburg, you might be on one side of the tracks looking at the screen, and there may not have been a track assignment, or the track assignment was wrong. And so you would run down the ramp and underneath and run back up. And there's always that panic. We had that as a group for VPRA. The entire group had to do that. Ashland, it was a more dangerous situation where people would wait in the middle of the tracks in order to see. They're looking this way, unaware of any trains coming behind them, looking to see which side they need to be on as the train approaches. And this went on for years. And so through our 209 agreement, we have worked with Amtrak to find a fix for this. So we've installed updated passenger information displays at Ashland, also at Main Street Station. And then the VRE system is, the newer VRE system is at Fredericksburg. And we also have Staples Mill, and we are paying through our 209 agreement for staff at Staples Mill to track the trains and update those screens accurately for safety and customer experience. And so this has so far been a big success. We're seeing a lot of return for the investment here. We see this kind of as a short-term fix because this is a nationwide issue. We're kind of the first state that has delved into this to fix this, and we'll be showing this to other states, but we've already had conversations with Amtrak that we need to see a national solution. Any questions on the 209 agreement?
And one thing, in case you're wondering which trains are ours, go to the app. It's the one with R, it's a capital R, that's for regional. So if you want to help us with the cost recovery that Steve mentioned,
Yes.
let's take the ones that are, but they're also a time and a more frequent basis because they go shorter routes. Obviously, if you're going a long route, Florida to New York or Boston, that's gonna, chances are that's gonna be less on time. So one on time, you want to help our cost recovery, take the ones we are.
Thank you, Mike. That's interesting. I didn't know that. I'm wondering with all of Jerica's good work, if there's a way we can advertise that somehow.
Ooh, I don't think Amtrak would love that.
I'm sure they would. Virginia would. Thank you, Jeremy.
I will say, knowing that this system is in place is a great benefit to a father with 3 teenage girls who's had to run from one track to the other with multiple bags. So thank goodness.
And we know,
What a task.
rail enthusiasts around the state, and we have rail cams, and they are watching. And we get emails both when it works and a few times in the beginning when it didn't. So there's regularly checking on this.
There's no action item on this one, but thank you very much. Great update. And with that, we are a little bit early on our schedule, but we're going to go ahead and break for lunch. And because lunch is going to be here around noon, hopefully a little bit before, so everyone can use the restroom ahead of time. And if it's okay with everybody, I would like to start back a little bit earlier than, when are we supposed to come back? At 1 o'clock? Time is it now?
11:33.
Think you have time? Discussing whether we should go ahead and get the closed session done. I'm thinking if you think we have time, I would say let's do it.
Mike, you okay with that?
Okay, switching gears. Oh, perfect.
Your discretion.
All right. So I am going to ask for a motion to go into closed session. Madam Vice Chair Drake, would you mind reading us?
Yeah, I move that the board convene in a closed session pursuant to Virginia Code 2.23711 and 29 for the discussion of public contracts relating to VPRA's Transforming Rail in Virginia projects involving the expenditure of public funds, including discussion of the terms of or scope of such contracts, where discussion in an open session would adversely affect the bargaining position and negotiating strategy of VPRA. For a second? Second.
Thank you, Ms. Reinhardt. All in favor of moving into closed session?
Aye.
All, thank you. All opposed? Making sure there's nothing else I need.